Right. All right, everybody. Welcome to Henkinen Akatemia's Tuesday evenings interview. And I'm very honored and happy and excited about this, that we have this evening very special guest, and it's Michelle Karèn, who is, I guess you are mainly known as astrolog, but you are shaman, you are writer, you are actor, you are martial artist, you are probably other artists too, whatever. There's a lot of things. You've been doing so many things and been all around the world and so on. And I'm so happy to have you here, because I'm sure that we're gonna have very, very much very interesting information this evening.
Thank you, Tero. And I wish I could speak Finnish because it doesn't show, but I was actually born in Helsinki and my father was Finnish and I'm half Finnish, half French. But my Finnish is not good enough for an interview, unfortunately. So, all my apologies for that.
Oh, that's good. We can practice English. That's good for us, because anyway, we're gonna have this kind of series of foreign speakers from all over the world in future, and the sorry, I'm letting people in all the time.
Mhm.
So
Very nice that
I
there's so
think
many people here. Thank you.
a kind of global network together, because we are all actually in the same path, and we are doing the same things, and we have same information, and we all light workers wants to do the same work here, actually,
Hmm.
different ways, but so it's so very important that we are connected and we talk and we share information, and especially at these kind of times right now, when a lot of things are happening, and pretty confusing
Hmm.
what's happening in the world, and
Sure.
almost Third World War or whatever, and catastrophes and so on. But yeah, you will have some ideas for that for sure today.
Well, I think it's important, that we focus on the positive because if we give too much power to our governments, to people, in positions of authority, we tend to forget our own mastery, our own power. And we all have, of course, we are dependent, everything that's happening in the world is affecting us. But it's also, we need to remember, we also have the power to affect things in return. And if we start to focus on the outcome we want and stop fearing the outcome we don't want, because whatever we fear, we attract. And we have to be very careful with that. So I personally, and it's weird because my father was a journalist for Henkinen Sanomat. So I was brought up with the news from all over the world, with newspapers, from every country, and radio, where our meals were always in front of the news. And when I left my home, I decided I would not have a TV and I would not open a newspaper because I wanted to be able to live my life according to my rules and the way I wanted to see the world. So my father was very mad at me, obviously, but after he died, he communicated with me and he told me I was right, and now he understood what I had been doing all these years. And not to say that we should, put our head in the sand and not look at what is going on in the world, but it's important to realize that we have power and that if I make my world a place of peace and happiness, the world around me is going to start organizing itself differently. And that's what I think people are forgetting so much right now. And we're getting so much propaganda. We're getting so many fake news. And I think that was unfortunately the thing of Neptune in Pisces for the last 12 years, where we got so much confusion that what was said to be right was wrong, what was wrong was right, what was real was fake, what was fake was real. So everything, we started being in a place where it was extremely difficult to discern what was and what was not. And even well-meaning people, I think, got influenced in rather negative ways without even realizing it, because there was so much confusion. And now, of course, with the medias and television, images, film, you can manipulate images so easily with AI. You can start to create all sorts of things that appear real and are really not real at all. And we have to be very, very, very cautious.
Exactly. Actually, that was the message what I had also, that when I was thinking that what should we talk about, that the only thing was that focus on positive things, that don't stay on the although things are happening, you can you can see what things are happening, and but be neutral with that. And in our conversation, the main thing is to keep the positive side. What are the possibilities right now? And really that we are getting all the time to we are getting closer to the center of the galaxy, and Kali Yuga is ending, and we are going in the right way, and we are cosmically better connected now, and there's flowing a lot of energy here, which is bringing the light and darkness. Both sides are kind of thriving at this time, and it's a very special time. And that's, we need to remember that we keep strong on that light side and concentrate on that. And yeah,
To remember,
exactly.
though, it's important what you're saying, because the darkness defines light. And if there were not darkness, we would not even know there is light. So I don't think we should be in a world where everything is pink and pretty and beautiful and enchanted, because that's not true either. We live in a reality of duality, but it is about, sorry, I have to stop my emails. But it is about remembering the power of our wait, okay, just a second, I need to check my, okay, here. It is about okay, I'm not able to, sorry, I thought I had done that. Okay, all my apologies. Okay, now we're back. So the thing is that it's very important to remember that we are in a reality, we create our reality. And if we don't, we can't be oblivious of the darkness, because the darkness is very real. And when Pluto, in astrology, we look at things in terms of cycles, and especially those slow moving planets, we determine big cycles that humanity goes through. And of course, the slowest moving planet is Pluto. And Pluto in the chart of the United States just returned, because it's a 250-year cycle, returned to the place it was occupying at the birth of America, the US. And that's very important, because it is also a time of complete transformation of the power of the US in the world. And I think it's quite interesting what is happening now, that the US are starting to pull back and to say, well, now Europe, you're on your own, and we are doing our thing and taking care of our problems, and you take care of your problems, And that's very much that when a planet, a slow-moving planet, returns to its own place, does a complete revolution, there's usually a sort of an end of a cycle, the beginning of a new one. And it's a sort of death and transformation. And this death is not necessarily negative. We need to die in order to be reborn. We need to go to sleep at night to be awake again in the morning. We need this time of rest and regeneration to start on a new basis. And the latest cycle of Pluto, because Pluto is a catalyst of transformation in astrology. It's a very powerful, concentrated planet that has tremendous power in terms of everything having to do with death and transformation. And Pluto was in Capricorn since 2008, exactly when Obama was elected, all the way till now, till November of 2024. And the whole year of 2024, it was going back and forth, but it really entered the next sign, Aquarius, in November. And that is very meaningful because Pluto also, and we have to look at the meaning of the planet is also derived at the time by the circumstances that surrounded the discovery of that planet. And when Pluto was discovered in the 1920s, that was the beginning of all those world wars, that was the beginning of the mafia, that we started to talk about these underground crime. There were a lot of issues, very dark issues that started to emerge at that time. And not to say that Pluto is all negative, because it's not. It's a very beautiful planet of courage, of bravery, of heroism, of honesty, of integrity. But it also carries with it this incredible intensity that can be both good and bad. Pluto is the planet of Scorpio, and Scorpios, we can have, people who are extremely, versed in crime, but also people who are incredible surgeons, who are the most powerful firefighters, who are incredible scientists who have discovered, things that, because they have the courage to look at things that most people are afraid to look at. So it's a very, very black and white kind of planet. And when it was in Capricorn since 2008 until 2024, that has been the time where we started to talk about all the corruption behind the scenes, of starting to see that our governments are maybe not so on the side of the people. They are very versed in all sorts of cults or drugs or corruption or money laundering or all sorts of lies and manipulations, which is a dark side of Pluto. And we started talking about the deep state. We started talking about, all sorts of very hidden, dramatic aspects of power behind the scenes. And now that it has entered Aquarius, and it started already in 2024, but it entered for good because the slow-moving planets, because of the different speeds, our speed on Earth, looking at the sky, and the speeds of the other planets, sometimes it looks like they go in reverse, which of course is not true, but it's an optical illusion because their speed is slower than ours, so it looks like against the background of the stars they're going in retrograde, but and then of course they go direct again, but it's not, it's extremely meaningful in astrology, because when a planet is seen to go backwards, even though it's not real, but it is subjectively real, then it becomes that planet's principle starts to function in an inner way rather than an outer way. And it's a time of reflection, it's a time of going within, it's a time of adapting to the changes that are coming. And now that Pluto has entered for good in Aquarius in November 2024 and will be there all the way till 2048, so for the next pretty much 20 years, or 44, so to the next 20 years, that is going to be power to the people. And that's an amazing time, because that's a time where I think a lot of us are losing faith in our governments, are losing faith in people who have these positions of authority and who really are in sometimes quite crazy and quite, making very unwise decisions and very dangerous decisions even for the people, and don't always care about the people. Most of the time they don't. They just care about themselves and the money they can put aside, and how they can, sit their power and stay in power. But with Pluto in Aquarius, we're going to see more and more people realizing that we cannot rely on authority. We have to be our own authority. We have to grow up. We have to be masters of our own reality. And we have to take charge of what happens in our lives. And that this is a time now to do it. And I think that's a beauty of all the spirituality also that has been awakening in people, that people started to realize that they are powerful, that we can do something, that if in my world and in my life I am peaceful, I am content, I do the good around me, I help people, I raise my consciousness, I become more aware, then I'm making a real difference. And even if only 10 people know me, it doesn't matter, because those 10 people are going to have their life enhanced by the fact that my consciousness is happier, more open, more joyful, and more aware. And that is going to make a ripple effect. And as we know, a ripple effect can touch countless people. Who is to say that the head of a state is more powerful than the monk praying in the Himalayas on his own that nobody knows? We don't know that. And maybe the monk that nobody knows who is praying in the Himalayas is holding the whole world together. And we can all be that monk without running off to the Himalayas and letting go of our lives. We can be that monk in our own reality, in our family, among our friends, in our job, wherever we are, and be this light. One time I met this truck driver, and he wanted to be a light worker, and I said to him, "But you already are." He said, "No, I just drive this stupid truck." And I said, "But look at all the people you are passing by every single day in your truck. I mean, if you start to send blessings to all those people as you drive, do you realize how many people you're going to bless in one day?" And he had never thought about that. And a year later, I met him again, and he said, and he was still driving a truck, but he was a light worker. He was truly making a difference, and he was aware of the difference he was making. And I think that's what we need to remember, all of us.
That is exactly so. That's what we've been doing, talking and trying to do here in Henkinen Akatemia. And the David Hawkins, this map of consciousness, where did he do it from 0 to 1000, the levels of consciousness? And he said 200 was the level where which everything is going to be positive and constructive, and under 2000 is those people who are on those feelings, which are this kind of what do you call this, negative feelings anyway. But he said that and it's growing exponentially, and person who has consciousness which is 600 or more, which is this kind of a monk, which is let's say enlightened monk, he compares 75 million people who are under 200. So those who are very high level, the higher you get, the more you affect the people, and you compare these who are under 200, and that's how the consciousness of the world or people in this world is getting higher all the time. The more people are getting more more positive and raising their consciousness.
I
I
love
don't know
that.
if I
I
explained
hope
that rightly.
you
Yeah.
did. You explained that very well. No, I wasn't aware of that, but that makes sense because the light of one little candle can light miles of darkness. So it doesn't, so it's not a question so much of numbers, it's a question of frequency. And once we start to raise our frequency, and the highest level is, of course, it's not even love, it's gratitude. And I think it's very important to have gratitude in our lives, gratitude for all the things, because we tend as humans to focus on the things we don't have that we want instead of appreciating the things we do have. Because if we start to appreciate the things we do have, we are going to get more. You know, it's the parable of the talents in the Bible, that the one who was given, you know, a piece.
Sorry, now the connection is your video is frozen. Okay, now it's back.
Yeah, okay, sorry. And we need to fructify what we are given, you know, whatever talent we have, whatever gift we have, whatever, you know, things we have at our disposal, because everything can be taken away from us at any moment. And it's very important that we appreciate what we have and we focus on what we have and don't start to focus on what we don't have. And that's a mistake that a lot of people make when they are trying to manifest things. You know, I want a relationship, I want money, I want a better job, I want a beautiful house. Well, they are focusing on where they are and where they want to be. But by doing that, they're focusing on the void, they're focusing on the gap. And the truth is that we have to focus on the destination as it having already happened. And if we can focus on things having already happened, we are going to manifest them and attract them to us. You know, it's what the Hopi, Hopi shamans would say: build the trenches, the water will come, the rain will come. But if we start to ask for rain when there's a drought, we're never going to get that rain. We have to already feel the rain happening for it to manifest. And that's the same if you want a relationship. Feel that your beloved is already with you, that you're already sharing your life with that person, that you're already enjoying the togetherness. And then this relationship will show up in your life. And the same with money. You know, even if we want more money, well, focus on the money you do have and do things with that money you do have, and be grateful for the money you do have, even if it's not maybe millions of euros, but it's, you know, it still enables you to have a roof over your head and food on your table. And appreciate that. And the more you appreciate that and you make your home pretty and nice and beautiful, then more is going to be given to you. And that's where our power is immense. And now, because 2025 is an absolute unique year in the sense that not one, not two major slow moving planet is changing signs, which is usually what happens, and not even every year, but usually only one planet changes signs, you know, one slow moving planet. This year, every single planet is changing signs. This is unheard of. This hasn't happened in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I was trying to go back in my ephemerides. I couldn't even go back to when that happened last. So it was probably thousands of years ago, not anything in the recent past. And the fact that all the planets are changing signs. So Neptune is entering Aries at the end of March. Then in May, we have Saturn entering Aries also. Then in June, we have Jupiter entering Cancer. Then In August, we have Uranus entering Gemini. We had already Pluto entering Aquarius in November. And of course, all the other, the slower moving, the faster moving planets, that's more normal because they change signs every few weeks, every few months, or once a year for the sun. So that's more normal. But that all the others are changing signs, that's remarkable. This is really a year of complete new beginnings. And it's a year where we have to let go of the past. We have to let go of all that is toxic, all that is not working well in our lives in order to welcome the new. And the new is going to be what we make it. It's not going to be necessarily the continuity of what came before. Like you were talking in the beginning about Third World War, and everybody is afraid of that, and nuclear war, and this and that, and invasions. And the truth is that's us thinking in a linear way, thinking that the past equals the future. No, it doesn't, because we have many possible futures. We don't have just one. And that's also me as a shaman and as an astrologer speaking, because we have the momentum of time, you know, when, and that's a difference between a psychic reading and an astrology reading, is that a psychic reading will tell you based on where you are, this is where you're going to be. And if you accept that future, then the psychic is right. And if you say, hell no, I don't like that future, I don't want that future, then you can create another future. And then the psychic was wrong because you chose a different future than the one that was the logical continuity of the past to the present to the future. But time is circular. We live in a sacred time, and this is why we have cycles. Things are repeating themselves, but they repeat themselves with a chance to go to another level. So it's not a circle, it's a spiral. And that spiral helps us to go faster and higher every time and to learn the lessons from the past, not repeat the negative things and create something else. And this is where we are at this year. And we are also exactly 12 years, entering the 13th year after the end of the Mayan calendar, which happened on 21st of December 2012. And now, and people said, well, nothing happened. That's not true. A lot happened. People made choices at that point. And we have been making choices ever since. And those choices put us on a certain track that puts us on another track, on another track. And if you notice, maybe the friends you had in 2012 are not the same friends you have now, because people revealed themselves. And I think during COVID, when the masks came up, the masks came down. A lot of people revealed themselves. A lot of people have revealed themselves through major events that have been happening, because it's very hard right now to keep the masks up. Things are going so fast. We are in the spinning cycle of the washing machine. And things are going so fast that it's very hard to hold on to lies. It's very hard to hold on to a facade. It's very hard to pretend to be what we are not. And only authenticity now is successful. Only being real is successful. And now it's this time. And now in 2025, we are coming to an incredible time of complete regeneration and being able to let go of what has not worked, what was toxic, what was not good for us, in order to welcome something else. And that else is also what we create and what it is that we want to manifest.
I totally agree. And
Good.
I'm so happy that in this time this quantum mechanics has also proved that all this old spiritual wisdom is true, and that this whatever we call it, zero field, or the field is reflecting back everything what you vibrate, and whatever you think your thoughts are, your feelings, and what you vibrate, you will get back. And that's how you can raise your vibration and have a higher timeline, not to have the same timeline, that same as before, but you can hire yourself in a new, have completely new things. And in one channeling, what we had a longer time ago, we were asking about what's happening in the world. I think it was some Syrians who were talking there, and they said that these problems what we have here will be solved, and the this environment problems and so on can be quite quickly be solved, and we will have a new technical inventions, but it will be completely new ones. It's not going to be by improving the old technology and so on, but it will be completely new things, and which we need to kind of download, that these our helpers will give us the knowledge for that, but we are not ready for that yet. And first we have to go through this time, which is probably happening right now. And but it's so exciting to hear what you say about this future and this Pluto thing, that now really everything is changing pretty fast. And I have same messages that I need to change my negative thinking and leave it completely, get rid of negative thinking. That's one thing what I've been repeating, and I'm trying to do that. And I noticed that sometimes I tend to think negatively, that what's going to happen with this and this thing. And so you need to be awake with that one. Another thing is to clearing chakras is very important right now. I've noticed there's a lot of people also calling me, and I have helped them to open the chakras, because if we just check that are they open or not, and very many times they are closed, and this time when there's a lot of purging and cleaning needed, so chakras is very important to keep them open, I think.
There's a very simple way to clean your chakras, and you can do that under the shower every morning, or in your bath, or if you are, in Finland by a river or a lake, it's even better if you are in a natural place, natural water, and take two fingers and dip them in the water, and then open the chakra. I mean, you can only see here, so open the chakra counterclockwise, and then pull whatever darkness, whatever needs to be released, and then you close it clockwise. And then you dip, your fingers in the river, in the lake, under the shower, and then you go to the next one. So you go counterclockwise, and then you pull, and then you close clockwise. And then you again put your two fingers in the water, and then you go to your next chakra. And it's good to do it in order. So you start with the first chakra all the way to the crown chakra. So counterclockwise, you pull, and then you close, and then you dip your fingers, and then you do the crown. And that takes only a few minutes, but it's going to just help to release all that stuff. Another thing you can do, which is wonderful, if you have a bathtub, but I know in Finland not many people have bathtubs, you can do that in the sauna. That's even better. So you go in the sauna and you just release, all of that, and take some salt, have some salt, a little bit of salt on you. Of course, shower really well after so that you don't itch, but the salt will absorb this energy. If you are lucky to have a bathtub, then make a bath as hot as you can with a cup of salt, like kitchen salt, regular salt, and you just dip in it for 20 minutes. So it's a boring bath. You're going to sweat a lot. Just keep adding hot water so that it keeps very, very hot. And put some candles, some music, meditate, whatever you need to do to make the 20 minutes go fast. And then after you are done, no soap, no shampoo, very important. And then after the 20 minutes are up, you empty the bathtub, you clean the bathtub, and then you take a shower with soap and shampoo. and that will help. And also hair, because we don't realize how much hair takes energy. So it's, especially if you're confronted with a lot of people, or you're coming back from work, there's been a lot of gossip going on, it's a good idea to wash your hair, because that will clear everything, all the energy. These are antennas, and those antennas can absorb a lot of negative energy. And like, I love in Finland the fact that we take off our shoes when we enter a home. I always do that wherever I live. And that's one of my Finnish habits that I think is very good, because it's about creating a sacred space. You enter your home is a sanctuary, and you're leaving the dirt and the craziness and the insanity of the world behind. And it's a good idea also to take a shower when you come back from work, just to make a transition between your professional life and your personal life. And little things like that, it doesn't look like much, but it can make a very, very big difference, because we want to have this sacred space in our life. We want to have this place that's protected, that's our sanctuary. And also a bedroom, we need to realize, this whole thing now, modern thing, to have mirrors in the bedroom, to have a TV in the bedroom, to have like computers in the bedroom. Don't do that. If you have a mirror on in your bedroom that you can't take away, go to IKEA, get a curtain rod, put a curtain in front, so that when you sleep, you just close the curtain, and you don't see the mirror, and you're not reflected in the mirror, because that attracts lower astral entities, and they can watch us during our sleep, and they can also affect our sleep in negative ways. And we need sleep, we need silence, we need to regenerate. And we are in a society that has so much noise all the time, everywhere, that I think the only place I really heard silence, because there's really a sound to silence, was at Lapland. And it was just silence, and just in those minutes of silence, it's like all of a sudden your whole body breathes. All of a sudden you are in a whole different consciousness. And also TVs, don't have a TV in your bedroom. The bedroom should be for love and sleep, period. Nothing else. No work. Don't bring work. Don't bring movies. Don't bring crazy stuff in your bedroom, because that is also like a mirror, the screen of the TV. And try to have a battery operated alarm clock, not your phone next to your bed, because that also creates a sort of EMF frequencies that affect us very negatively. And we need to be able to regenerate. We need to be able, our soul needs this peace that is so difficult to find in our modern life, unless we live, and that's a beauty. I think in Finland people are still, it's a very shamanic country. That's why I love going back to Finland all the time, because to me it's, the land is shamanic, the rocks, and the way we live in the summer, in our summer cottage, taking a sauna, jumping in the lake, and living in the forest, and not talking to anybody. And that's actually very, very healthy, spiritually extremely healthy to live like that. And we need to go back to that. And but to go back to what that channeling was saying, I agree, because with Uranus entering Gemini for the next 7 years in August of this year, we are going to see inventions we have never seen before. And it could actually be even very old inventions that are being resurfaced, things from antiquity, things from times of Lemuria, of Atlantis, that we had forgotten about, that are going to be reactualized. And I'm amazed, for example, on TikTok, on Instagram, to see those kids who were born during with the Neptune in Aquarius, and now it's going to be a Neptune in Pisces. So that was the past 24 years. those kids, they are incredible with music. You give them like two notes and they play like that, or they have like, it's literally like they have music pouring out of them. It's unbelievable. And they're even taking the classics and creating techno stuff with the classics, and they're doing, it's unbelievable what they're doing with music. They're absolutely magicians when it comes to music. And Neptune is the planet of music, the planet of mysticism, the planet of the harmony of the spheres, the planet of going through the veil between dimensions, higher consciousness, and everything that is of not just, it's not religious, it's really mystical nature. And of course, poetry and painting and all those things that are non-verbal, that express the intangible and the infinite. And in Aquarius and Pisces, which was the two signs that it has been in for the past 24 years, these kids are coming with an incredible understanding of music, and also teaching how to learn piano easily, how to learn instruments easily, and not take like the painful, I remember my painful piano classes that I took forever in every conservatory in the world. Now they are coming up with methods where you can learn much quicker and you can understand music in a much more accessible way. And when Neptune is going to enter Aries, and that's happening at the end of this month in March, at the end, the 30th of March, for the next 12 years, that's going to be a time also of absolute revolutionary innovations in the world of fashion, art, music, painting. We're going to see some incredible new developments in those fields that we have no idea about yet. So it's going to be very exciting to see what happens.
Sure. I think it's also this is time for better connection to the nature,
Mhm.
what's needed at Mother Earth. And that's something what I think we are now understanding how much information and help we can get from the nature if we just connect to them. What do you are also a shaman, and of course these indigenous people have always known those things, and it said that they were the ones who kept this earth going, that we didn't have more catastrophes because they were kind of serving Mother Earth and having this connection going on with humanity. And uh, what do you have to say about this?
That's very important. I was, as I said, I was initiated by the Kero master shamans in Peru 20 years ago, and I was blessed to be chosen and I became the godmother of two little Kero children, and so I'm supposed, they see me as part of the family, and um, and it's beautiful because they always speak of Pachamama, Mother Earth, Pachamama. And when they eat or drink, they always will pour a little bit of alcohol on Mother Earth before they drink themselves. So they always take care of their mother before they take care of themselves. And they sleep on the ground, not because they can't have a bed. They just don't want a bed. They want to hug their mother. And that's the beauty of it. So the Apus, in Quechua, the Apus are the mountains. Pachamama is Mother Earth. So this is our divine father, our divine mother. And the Keros never have a dysfunctional family because their true father are the mountains and the sky, and their true mother is Mother Earth. And they always laugh when we talk about protecting the earth. And they're like, when the Kiro, they first went on a plane, they knew Mother Earth was big, but they didn't realize how big she was. And they really, and they always laugh because they say, well, what do you mean protect Mother Earth? She's the one protecting us. If she lifts a little, the piece of a nail of her little finger, we're all dead. So they have this real honoring and understanding that we need to respect nature. And I have a lot of hope because when Jupiter is going to enter Cancer in June of this year, 2025, and is going to be there for a whole year until the end of June 2026, that's going to be a time where, first of all, the notion of family is also going to become very important, the notion of security, the notion of safety, the notion of where do we belong on this planet? And I think a lot of people are going to move or are going to want to go back to their roots or are going to want to find where they belong on this earth because we all have, we live on such a varied earth, and I was very blessed in my life to live in, I think it's 10 countries by now that I've lived in, and very varied countries, like the desert and the lakes of Finland and the cold, and then the mountains of Switzerland and the seaside of the Atlantic Ocean and all those amazing places that I've been in. But we all have a climate that we feel most comfortable in. We all have landscapes that we love most and that we feel we can bloom and blossom in better. And with Jupiter in Cancer, the issues also around food are going to become very important. And I think more and more people are going to become aware of the need to buy a little, have a little piece of land and grow their own fruit and vegetables. And even if we don't have the luxury of a garden or even a balcony, we can grow lettuce or tomatoes in our living room. We can have, like in Finland, I have these little containers where I grow my herbs, and I have like a little lamp and everything. And instead of having fresh flowers, I have fresh herbs, and it looks beautiful, and it's green, and it's happy, and it's living, and it's growing, and it's something I can sprinkle in my salad when I eat. It's something that I grow myself. And I think more and more people are going to become aware of the importance of honoring our food supplies because that also has been messed with in a horrible way. I mean, the water we drink is not safe, the air we breathe is not safe, the food we eat is not safe. Even if we eat organic, we don't know what has been sprayed or where it has been or for how long. And unfortunately, we live in a very sick environment. And the more we can start to, in little ways, but there's no little way. Little ways are big ways. Little ways give, big results. And if we start to pay attention to that and grow things where we are going to live a better life. And that's going to be Cancer. The Jupiter in Cancer, it's really about the abundance of nature. And it's also going to be very important to invest in the minerals of nature also. Gold, silver, things that we can touch, things that give us a lasting security and that are going to be also much more valuable than just paper money or money that can be devaluated or can be burnt or changed that is not necessarily solid.
You have a lot of practical advices to us today. I think in this stage we could ask some questions. If
Yeah.
people have, our listeners have questions, you can open your mic or even write in the chat. We can read from there. Certainly, there you might have some questions to Michelle.
Okay, don't be shy. I know in Finland people are very shy, so please don't be shy. That's always a joke. When I give a conference in Finland, it's like silence. But don't be shy, please. There's no stupid question. None. And probably if you're asking that question, a lot of other people are thinking about it.
Okay, Nina had a question. What does the quantum field mean to you, and how would you define it, please?
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, the
Yeah.
quantum field to me is a multidimensionality that we are very global beings. I mean, if we believe in reincarnation, I'm pretty sure everybody here does. We have had many different experiences. We have very different layers to ourselves. We are very, we have even just in our life, there's what people know of us professionally, our spouse knows of us, different, our friends know of us, our children know of us, our pet knows of us. So it's like we are very varied with very many layers that we tap into. And the quantum field, it's this field where we are all connected. We all, it doesn't matter what religion, what race, what nationality, what education we have received, everybody has this same aspiration to be happy. And I think that's the most universal thing. It's not even to be, I mean, a lot of people want to be rich and famous, which, okay, that's part of our society, I guess. But ultimately, our greatest need is to be happy. Our greatest need is to have a meaningful life, to do something that fulfills our soul, that makes us feel, useful, that makes us feel that it was worth having the life we had. And that's a quantum field that whatever thoughts, emotions, actions we put out, they reverberate and they touch other people and they also boomerang back to us. And this is why it's so important to put as much positivity in the world, as much happiness in the world, as much meaningfulness into the world, because that's what we are going to reap back. And that's also what is going to help the community, help humanity as a whole, and even people we don't know. And that's the beauty of it, that we might be affecting people we will never meet. And we could, one piece of grass, depending on where it goes, it can affect incredible amounts of of space and the people and the beings living in it. So there is no small action, and that's why we need to be very responsible, because everything we do has a consequence. Everything is meaningful, and there's no random thing that we can do that is not going to reap some kind of result. So that to me is this quantum space. It's multidimensionality where we are all connected. I hope that
Good.
answers. Nina. That was courageous
Beautiful.
to have asked the first question. So good for you.
Beautiful. All possibilities. There's another question is it true that there will be quantum leap on 28th March 2025?
Well, that's a time of this major eclipse in Aries, and that eclipse is very incredible because it really is a new beginning. So I think quantum leaps we are making, I mean, the whole month of March is quite remarkable because we have Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Neptune entering Aries, and two eclipses, and that's one in Virgo and one in Aries. So it's really a month, it's a major turning point month in the year. It's probably the most important month of the whole year. September will also be a very major turning point, but March is particularly intense. And it's a month of, the beginning of the year has been rather dark and difficult, and a lot of things happen at a very high speed and very quickly. And it's almost like we're already in a different reality. since we started this year, but March is definitely a turning point, definitely, and a new beginning. So yes, quantum leap, yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
And we have this Friday is the full moon or blood moon,
Well,
full eclipse.
it's an eclipse, yeah. And
Yeah.
eclipses are always very important because eclipses, first of all, they will affect the next 19 years of our lives. And eclipses are, sorry, eclipses are points of no return. An eclipse, it's like we jump to another level and we cannot look back. We have to move forward. And depending, and the fact that it's in Virgo, the one coming up, is very much about order, clarity, clearing, being methodical, being organized. And in Aries, new beginning, new, starting anew.
Next week, 20th, spring equinox.
Yes.
Is that special? That's said that some people say that that's really the end of the Kali Yuga. That is something that there is very special day at equinox and very strong energies. What do you say about that?
Well, the thing is that it's it I wish it were that clear cut. It's like it's the 21st of March, so that's it. We can put our clothes, our winter clothes to the cellar and start wearing summer clothes. Well, not so quickly. There's always a time of transition and there's always a time of adaptation. And still, and especially in Finland, still in April, May, there still could be some cold days, even though we're already in spring. And in February or March, it could already be a sense that, oh, the sun is shining, it's warm, and now spring is coming. So it is about this transition that nothing is that clear cut. And that's why it's always a little difficult in astrology to give very specific dates of events because things can I mean, you see, astrology is going to tell you it's raining outside. That's a given. Now, what you're going to do with that is your free will, because we always have free will. And that's what people don't always understand. And that's why usually they reject astrology because they're like, I don't want to know, what my life is going to be. Well, astrology is going to give you tools to lead your life with more consciousness. So astrology will tell you it's raining outside. Now you decide, do you want to stay home reading a book by the fireplace with a cup of hot chocolate, or do you want to take an umbrella and, boots and a raincoat and experience the rain, or do you just want to go out and feel the rain, That's your choice, but it will just tell you it's raining outside. So, the more conscious we are of the planetary energies playing around us, the more we can use them to my advantage. And that's what I decided to do with my YouTube channel, Michelle Karèn, Astrologer Shaman, is every week I detail the days where there are specific transits, specific planetary aspects, and how we can use them to our advantage. Because, it's like when you have a boat, if you want to take it out and there's no wind, well, that's not going to be very helpful if you don't have an engine and you only have, sails. But if you know the wind is coming and you have a sailboat, then that's the day when you can launch your boat and go for a nice, ride on the river. So that's I think is the power of astrology, is to understand ourselves and to understand the cosmic events around us so that we don't go against the grain, that we go, as much, we flow as much as possible with the energies of the moment. And then our life becomes just easier. We're not hitting our head against the walls, we are floating with life.
Right. What about you've been working also with Lee Carroll and Creon people. and he said that you are the first quantum astrolog. What does it mean? What did he mean by that?
Yeah, that I get that a lot. That is, well, I can't speak for Lee Carroll or Cryon. It was actually in a channeling by Cryon. Um, to me, the way I understand it is that the way I understand astrology and the way I read a person's chart is that I will look at their past lives. I will look at their present lifetime, the purpose of this lifetime. I will look, sometimes I can do a whole reading of someone and it's like the planets are talking to me. It's a very difficult process to explain. It's like I get threads, and some people ask me, well, what do you look at when you, and it depends. I never know what I'm going to look at. It depends on the person, it depends on the energy, it depends. So I look at the map that is mathematically calculated, but I draw things that are given to me by the planets. So it's like for me, this is a world where the planets speak to me, or they tell me where to look or what to, what is connected with what, because it can be very daunting when you start astrology, all the planets and the houses and the aspects and the signs, and it's a lot to look at, and it's like a thread. But I look at a chart in terms of not just this lifetime. I also look at past lives and how and why we incarnated and what is the highest purpose of this incarnation. And I think that's how, why Cryon said what he said, which was very nice. And it's also, it actually helped me when I got that message, because there was one time I was in Latvia and I was doing one reading after another. I was after a conference, and there were a lot of people who, they had very complicated names that and it turned out that I had been doing a reading for this lady, and I thought it was her reading based on her date of birth, time, and place. And it turned out that I was reading somebody else's chart because I had mixed up the names. It was my mistake, but I had mixed up the names. And yet, everything I had told her was correct. And she was agreeing to everything I was saying to her about her chart, which was turned out was not her chart. And and astrologically that makes no sense, because you can't, if you read a map, you're reading a map. You're not reading something else. You can't come up with a different interpretation of what is in that map. And yet the interpretation was correct, even though the map was not correct. And this has happened to me many, many times, and there was no way I could explain that. Astrologically, there was no way. It's
Well,
mathematical,
it's
I can't explain that.
too
And
hard for you.
so I
It,
was just picking something else up through the chart. And people tell me I channel, but I don't channel. I don't believe that. But I read, I need a chart to read to be able to talk to someone. I can't just talk to you like that. I can't. I would be totally mute. I would have nothing to say. But if I have a chart, then, and even apparently, even with the wrong charts, I can still come up with correct readings. And this has happened to me several times, not just this one time. So when I heard that I was a quantum astrologer, then all of that made sense to me, how I could do that.
but you are also a quantum tarot reader.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you did a reading with me. Yes. I love,
We have the
tarot.
same
I
thing.
never learned the tarot. That was a crazy thing. I got this, the only one regular job I ever had in my life, because I've been an astrologer since the age of 14, is that I was working in this postal section of an esoteric bookstore in Glastonbury in England, just for 6 months. That was a job I had. So my job was to take those books, take the orders, put them in an envelope, and send them. That was my job. And at one point, there was this deck, this tarot deck and there were only the major arcanas. All the rest of the deck had disappeared. So the director, I mean the owner of the bookstore, said, "Well, I'm going to throw that away because we can't sell that. There's nothing we can do about it." And I said, "Well, give them to me." So I took them home, and I started reading those cards. And I had never read a book on tarot. I had no idea about anything. And years later, it was very funny. I was working in Switzerland at the time in Geneva, and this client of mine, who came for astrology, told me, "Oh, you were reading the cards for me already in Egypt, in ancient Egypt." I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." I thought, okay. And then 2 weeks later, another client of mine told me exactly the same thing, and they were absolutely not related, those two. And I had never said that to anyone. And I thought, okay, then there has to be some truth to that. And that explained. And when I started reading books on the tarot, I was like, man, this is way too complicated for me. So and again, it's like astrology. The cards talk to me. I don't know how to explain that. It's just they tell me what they have to say or the message, and depending on where they are and the position and all of that. So it's a very mysterious process, even for me.
Yeah, they are. I use a lot of tarot cards also, and I'm so used to that. I don't even doubt that information anymore. I just talk with them.
That's
And
it.
it's so it's a channel in a way. It's a through that it's easier to talk with your higher self or your guides or with whom you are talking with, and they are guiding you, and you understand. Okay,
And
I
that's the
haven't learned
key,
that yet.
Tero.
Yeah,
That's the key, to not doubt. And that's the
yeah,
biggest block people experience, is that they doubt. They're like, oh, well, it's something I read last week. It's a movie I saw, and they
exactly.
start to second guess themselves. Don't trust. Whatever comes to you, trust it. And that's the most difficult thing. But if you manage to get over that, then you can read the tarot, you can do, psychic readings for people, you can do all sorts of things.
Exactly. It's which side of your brain is working there. Is it the left side or right side? And it's exactly that. If you start to analyze and doubt and so on, it's your left side. And let the right side take care of that, and you get the right information. There's a lot of questions for you now.
Oh,
Let's
good,
see.
good.
Um, Next one was thank you. So, what would be the best thing to do with the negative feeling and thoughts that may sprout when having, for example, an unexpected hostile meeting with someone, even with a close relative?
Hmm. That's very important. Try to see, we are always responsible for the people we attract, even if it's our family members, even if they are difficult and painful and not on our wavelength. Why are we attracting that kind of negative emotion or comment? And and try to see, because sometimes people are negative because they are hurting, themselves, because they had a bad day, because they are overwhelmed, because they cannot process certain information, or they don't have maybe, the resources, the spiritual resources to understand what they're going through with more clarity or more compassion. And I think it's not, and not to say that we can avoid difficult people or negative comments ever. We do. I get them too, but then what I do is that I always ask myself, is this true? Is there some truth is what they're saying to me? And if there isn't, well, then do I need to take that personally? Maybe not, And sometimes having some humor, or laughing it off, or ignoring it, or not giving it too much power is the right answer. and letting it slide. Because if we start to take everything personally, if we start to be affected by everything, why are we taking it in? Why? That's the reality of the other person. That's their perception of us. They have every right to have that perception, but I also have the right to not accept that perception, you know? So it's about not being so immersed in everything that happens to us. Sometimes let's just, laugh it off or ignore it.
Next question. So you mentioned that in psychic reading, we can choose not to have that specific outcome if we don't like that. What
Yeah.
about astrology then? Does it show only the moonstones on your soul's journey, things that are going to happen
Yeah.
no matter what?
Yeah, it does. I mean, astrology will give you the big milestones in your life, and will tell you, for example, what is the purpose of this lifetime? Why did you incarnate? What is the best career for you? What is the best kind of person to marry? What is, what are you very good with details? Are you very good with broad pictures? Are you so it's about really it's very hard, like people ask me, when am I going to get married, when am I going to change jobs, and it's very hard to answer that very specifically because there's different dates that are possible, but it's which one is going to be the one where you meet the love of your life. It could be surprising because for each person it can mean something different, and it can manifest through different planetary aspects. So the importance is really to understand what cycles we are going through and what they mean. And then we organize our activities, we plan our, what we want to achieve in our lives in accordance with those. But we still have the choice within that. Like for example, to give you a more specific example, when you move, is it what is the date that you should choose to move? Is it the date where you're going to put the key the first time in the lock? Is it the time where you sign the paper that you bought this house? Is it the first time you see that house and you love it and you fall in love with it and you decide you want to buy it? Is it the time when you give the money? All those dates are valid, for this is my house. But it is very subjective which one is going to be the one that you should choose to determine the chart of that moving into that home. Does that make sense?
For that.
Does that answer that question?
All right. Yes, thank you. You
Okay.
did. Hey, another question from Sarah. I've been being sick this winter more than ever. Even now I'm having norovirus and it's just so tough to be sick all the time. Do you think this has something to do with ascension, that the body is clearing out?
Yeah, that's quite possible because I mean, there are many factors also that as I said, we don't live in a very healthy environment. But yes, definitely, there's been a lot of clearing. I know last year, I'm never sick, but last year I was sick so much. It was horrible. But it's a clearing, especially cough, it's grief that's leaving us because grief, touches our lungs in a powerful way. Um, And we are releasing a lot of things we have kept inside for a very long time. And now that we are becoming more and more conscious, we have to release all that luggage that we no longer need and that is only going to make us heavier. So, yes. And remember, we could also be clearing things for the collective because the more conscious we are, the more we may be taking out of compassion and sensitivity aspects of other people's consciousness that needs to be released. And we're doing it, in an empathic way, but we are releasing certain things.
Sunday I'm never sick also usually, but Sunday I was kind of feeling sick, and I was thinking what the heck is going on, and now it's something energetically very strong things, and almost like a fever, but you don't have a fever. And then I was asking, is this just cleaning? Is this purging, that things are coming up and needs to be purged and cleaned? And that was the reason I started to clean my chakras,
Mhm.
open them, they were closed, and some chakras were closed, and also my mental and emotional bodies and etheric body, and it's getting clearer. Then I went to sleep. I slept the next day and was gone.
Good.
But it's and
And
I had also another person calling me and saying, "What's going on with him? And can you check that? That is so strange feeling." I said, "Get exactly the same cards as I do. It's about clearing, and you are losing some old stuff away. So don't worry about it. Just clean yourself and go to rest and so on."
yeah, rest, drink a lot of water, drink some pure lemon juice, and eat some garlic, help to cleanse and clear all of that. And mostly rest, because as I said earlier, we are living in so much stress all the time. And there's so much, heaviness and responsibilities and things we have to do and bumps in the road, and we need to be able to take all that in, and sometimes we just need to sleep it off and shut the world out a little bit to regenerate.
So, do you think that the one part of the work of light workers is to clean this collective energy also, that they will come? That's kind of deal that you do that, once you come over here, you will clean it with your aura, and that sometimes I can feel that this is not my energy, it's coming from somewhere else, but I need to just clear it and so on.
But it's also ours, because if it comes to us,
Yeah.
it's ours. So we can't say, we're in this together. We're in the same boat. So what comes to us, we attract it to a certain level, and it's also important that we clear it for ourselves. But as we clear it for ourselves, we're also clearing it for others. And a lot of people say to me, really, did I choose to come now? Yes, we did. We did. And we knew what was coming. We knew this was not going to be an easy lifetime, but we also chose to be here, to be the light bearers, to be the ones showing the way to others, and to know that we're not in a doom and gloom situation. There are ways out, and this is part of our service. This is part of our sacrifice. And sacrifice actually comes from making sacred. That's the true etymology of the word sacrifice. And when we make sacred, when we serve, and as light workers, we serve. And we need to remember that it's not an ego trip, it's not a power trip, it's a path of service, it's a path of helping. And again, it's not about I know and the others don't. It's we are in it together. We are going to find a solution together. Like when I work in shamanism with someone, their problem is my problem, and we're going to solve it together. Every person attracts the right person, the right client, I hate that word, but the right person coming for help, because I need that help too. And when I found that out when I started astrology when I was 14, and I got, at one point I got very resentful that I was dealing with so many problems of so many people. They were coming to me always with problems and dramas and difficulties. And one day I realized, wait a minute, all the problems that people bring me in a week are always the same. It's like there's a theme. Every week there was a theme. And then I realized that theme was something I was going through personally. And I thought, wow. And that changed everything for me, because I realized that the problems people were bringing me were my problems. And if I could solve it for them, it would get solved for me at the same time. So now I got really excited about doing readings, because it was helping everybody, including myself. It was not that, everybody had problems and I didn't. No, we all were in the same boat and we were trying to find the solutions together. It was a team effort.
Actually, this is now we're coming to end of this session, and I think that when we started and we talked about this light and darkness and what's happening in this world and polarities actually and sick and wealth, sick and healthiness and good and bad and so on, and that all about this unity and togetherness is about get beyond this polarities and see that they are all same. This whole thing is that we are not get like the right advices you gave, that don't get so disturbed about those things, and things happen. It's natural, neutral things, and we don't need to criticize people. We don't need to judge them or anybody or ourselves especially. We have dark and
Especially
light
ourselves.
side.
I
Yeah.
think
Mm.
so many people are so hard on themselves, and it's not, I don't think perfection is the goal, but doing the best we can in every moment, that's important. And as long as we do the best, could we do better? Yeah, of course we could. Maybe next time I'll do better. But right now I did the best I could, and let's live with that, and keep going. Because if we want to be perfect, if we judge ourselves, it's going to be an unbearable journey. And, yeah, did I make mistakes? It's like the little child who learns to walk. And if the child falls and would never get up again, we would never have walked. We fell, we got up, we fell, we got up, we fell, we got up, and one day we didn't fall anymore and we were able to walk without falling. So that's how we need to look at our progress, that we are better now than we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last week, hopefully. And that's the goal we should look into, and congratulate ourselves, not be so hard on ourselves, you know, have also compassion, not just for others, but also for ourselves.
Exactly. You have your website is michellekarèn.com, and
Correct.
that's in our website also. You can check that there. And you are doing uh, charts
Yes.
or tarot.
Yeah, I do tarot readings, I do coaching, I do astrology readings, I do shamanic readings, I do everything on Zoom. So wherever I am in the world, I can do it. And I also have a
Yeah.
YouTube channel, Michelle Karèn, astrologer shaman. And every week I do the predictions, one in French and one in English. I wish I could do it in Finnish, but my Finnish is really not so good. I understand. Immehän vähän, mutta en puhun suomea. So,
Okay. But I can tell that your tarot reading was right on the spot. It was
thank you.
surprising good. I
Thank
can advertise a little bit that. Start asking, what is the shamanic reading?
It's not a reading, it's a session. And in the shamanic session, it's much more, I don't know how to experience. It's more experiential, It's like in a shamanic reading, we can do, for example, remove entities, we can remove family curses, we can do past life regressions, we can do a soul retrieval. Like, for example, when somebody goes through a trauma, it's like a part of themselves detaches, and the job of the shaman is to go and retrieve that part and give a mythic map of the person to become whole again. We can do journeying. Journeying is a very important part. We can work on dreams. So it's much more energetic. In a shaman session, there's not as much talking as in an astrology reading. In astrology reading, I will read your chart, tell you the cycles, the dates, etc. In shamanism, it's more working on ourselves on an energetic level. It's very powerful. Both are very powerful, and they're both very complementary. I was so grateful to have shamanism as an extra tool in my toolbox, because sometimes I would get a little frustrated just with astrology, as I probably would be just with shamanism, because both give, talk to the mind and talk to the body and the soul. And once you have the two, you have a very complete picture, and you're able to help the person much more efficiently and deal with things much faster.
Right. Good. Hope somebody will try that. But hey, we are coming into end, and all I can do is thank you 1,000 times for that wisdom and happiness and joy and love what we have received now from you from France. You are there in France right now.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you, and hopefully we see again. And when you come to Finland, keep in touch. So we would
Definitely.
love to see you.
Definitely.
And
Yeah. Kiitoksia oikein paljon.
thank
So
you,
thank you so much.
thank you for everybody.
And thank you, yeah, to everybody who was here and who had the courage to ask questions. So thank you for that. That was very, very nice.
Even Finnish people ask questions. Yeah, 25 people were listening here.
Oh,
So
wonderful. Great.
number for us.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a
Thank you for having invited me, and I wish you all the best.
all the best to everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Peter.